So yesterday I had a good experience. It was this long, drawn out scenario where it's kind of like I was at my parents', kind of like I was living there at the house over there, at my parents' house, but they weren't in the scenario. But it's like I was living in the house by myself, but in the scenario it was a lot bigger. And so it's like I had all these friends over, like Linda. Okay, it was like Linda, Brenda, me, this other woman named Christy, and there was at least 3 or 4 other friends, and they were staying with me like for days and days and days and days, all in the living room and family room and the front room. Like they were spending the night with me for days and days and days and days. And so several times in the scenario, would be ready to go to bed or whatever. So I'd go in the front room and get my bed ready and blah, 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 blah. And we just kept, walking around the house and talking and visiting and blah, 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 blah. And it's like they were staying with me, spending the night for several days. And in the scenario, and they did already stay with me for several days in the scenario. And then like on the 10th night or whatever, I started to talk about, one of the things I was talking about was like aliens. And another time I think I was talking about like my jobs at work or whatever, and other jobs that, people do at work and stuff. And then, and like I said, the scenario lasted a long time, and I was in it for days and days and days, and it just felt so different. It felt like a different dimension and everything. It felt awesome, like a total different reality and everything. And, the energy feels really cool in these scenarios. And anyway, so then they, oh yeah, and many times in the scenario, 9 times out of 10 in the scenario, I remember it being dark outside. And but when I started talking about aliens and work and stuff, it's like they all started to get offended or something. And then it was nighttime. They all went out the door and left. And and I was real perturbed. And it's like they went out the family room door. Let's see, I don't know. I don't need to draw it, but it's like they went out the family room door, facing this direction. They just kind of started all, walking out the door, and I remember this is like the backyard. And so they just kind of went out the door and just started walking, towards the backyard. They all just one by one went out the door and left. And it was dark time then. And I remember thinking, what the hell did I was like, what the hell did I say? And I was thinking, all this time I've talked about stuff like this and they didn't get offended. And now all of a sudden, all 8 of my friends are getting all offended and shit. And so one by one they went out the door. This is like the family room right here. And then they went out the door and went traipsing, in the backyard, which in the scenario it seemed 10 times bigger, the backyard. And so I started getting all mad when I started thinking I knew I was like, I was thinking in my head, I know those bitches aren't ever going to come back here again, ever. I knew somehow, they would never come back here again. And Linda is a person I knew when she was between the ages of 66 to 69, but now she's 83. I don't know how she's doing now. But anyway, so I was so when they all started leaving out the door, I just kind of started getting all mad and stuff, and I just kind of started cussing at them and stuff, you fucking bitches and blah, 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 blah. after I started thinking how I knew they were never going to come back again, I was just like, fucking bitches, fucking bitches. And, so this was kind of a funny scenario. But I was just like so mad, you know, when I realized I knew they were never going to come back again. And I just didn't think they had the right to be offended. And I was just like screaming, fucking bitches and blah, blah, blah. And then I specifically remember Linda, you know, walking and seeing the back of her gray hair and everything, her short, chopped off gray hair. And anyway, okay, so that was one of my scenarios. But like I say, it lasted a lot more than 5 minutes. It lasted like fucking 2 weeks in the scenario. But anyway, so that was like yesterday. And then the day before, I had another awesome one. Felt like an awesome energy, different dimension and everything. Where man, and I've had a bunch of other ones that were like really cool. In the back of where I work, like scenarios where I've had so many scenarios on the premises or inside the building, you know, since 2010, because that's when I started to work at that building, was 2010. But I remember one scenario that was probably 9 or 10 years ago, or no, maybe even 11 years ago, something like that, or 12 years ago. One scenario where I was in the back of the building, you know, like where I was working, and I mean, I can't remember much, you know, because that was a long time ago, but I can't remember like the other parts or you know, why I was there or whatever, but I just totally remember I was in the back of the building for whatever reason hanging out. And in real life, there's like a creek or whatever back there. But in this scenario, it was weird. In the scenario, it was just all these like little molehills, all these dirt little humpy molehills. And I was just like, I don't know if I was hiding behind them. I mean, I can't remember that part, but it was just so weird and it was just so fun. And it was just awesome. Felt like a different dimension. It was all these little dirt, like molehills, all different heights back behind there. These dirt molehills or whatever. But it was just weird. I wish I could remember more of it, but it was fun. I mean, it felt like a different dimension and it felt awesome. But anyway, so this other scenario I had in the building a couple days ago, and the scenario, it was laid out exactly like in real life, pretty much. It was laid out exactly, except in the scenario, it did seem that the back part, let's see, the back part and the front part, it seemed, well, the back part probably seemed quadruple the size in the scenario. The front part maybe double the size. But in the back part, you know, in real life, it's all deserted back here because everybody's working from home. And then here's the door that goes into the area that I work. And basically, except this part was this back part was 4 times bigger in the scenario. And basically, people were, I mean, it was very deserted back here, and I was just walking around where all the cubicles were, and it was real deserted. And basically, I was just kind of like waiting on to start some training. I was waiting for some people to come to help train me, but they never did come. So I was just like walking around all the deserted area of this back part of the building, and there was a lot of cubicles and blah 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 blah. But I was pretty much the only one walking around, except there was the big tall guy. He in real life retired a few years ago, but before that he worked back here, right here. That's where his cubicle was. And so in the scenario, he was in the scenario, and he's like, well, I'm gonna retire. He said he was retiring that day in the scenario. And in the scenario, he looked the same and it was tall and everything. And so he left. He's he's like, he placed a bunch of stuff down on the, on a cubicle or whatever. He placed like 3 or 4 big old t-shirts down that had all these designs on them. I want to say they had like birds and eagles or something on them. And they were really huge. They were really long and really big because he was a big guy. But he's like, I'm retiring. So he set like 4 t-shirts down. Brand new. I mean, they were brand new, never been worn. And a pair of shoes. And I'm like, okay, well, good. Well, I'm thinking, well, you know, hurry up and leave, because I knew that he was going to leave all that stuff there, and I was going to go ahead and take all that shit home, you know, because he didn't want it. He was leaving all that stuff there because he was retiring, and he just didn't want it. I mean, brand new t-shirts. So I was going to take all them. But the pair of shoes was, it looked about 99% brand new. And I was like, is that really a size 30? And for some reason, I don't know, somebody told me he wore like a size 30 shoe. And I was like, is that really a size 30? And then I can't remember if he told me or if there was another employee was standing there. And they were like, no, it's not a 30, but it's like a 13 or something like that. But that was kind of funny. But I looked at the pair of shoes that was sitting there, a pair of tennis shoes. And I mean, they're practically brand new. And I was going to take those too. But, you know, I knew deep down, I mean, I wouldn't, you know, I was like, I'm not going to be able to wear those. But anyway, I couldn't wait to take them because he was leaving his shoes, that pair of shoes, and then those 3 or 4 big old t-shirts. I mean, spanking brand new, you know, and brand spanking new. And it had, you know, I can't remember the designs, but it was all very vivid, like eagles and stuff on them. And I couldn't wait to take all that stuff since he was going to leave it there. And I know where Joel got the idea from, because one of the coworkers that already retired a couple years ago went like roaming around and started looking in all the fucking cubicles for whatever reason. And he found a bunch of food and shit. Big old boxes of food that you get at like Sam's Club. And so since he did that, a couple weeks later, I decided to do that. And what I found was over here in real life, and I can't remember if Dominique used to sit there or the other woman, because it's either, you know, vice versa, Dominique or the other, I forgot her name, Cameron. Dominique, Cameron, or Cameron, Dominique. But anyway, one of those, I opened up one of those drawers and had a big old box of like stickers, brand new cards, Christmas cards, get well cards, wedding cards, like millions of different kinds of cards, brand new cards, and stickers and shit. And so I went ahead and took the whole box. I still have it up in the cabinet over there. But yeah, I don't know if they forgot them when they retired several years ago, or they just didn't want them anymore, because it could be that they left them there on purpose because they knew, you know, that they only brought that big old box to work, you know, because, you know, a lot of times at work, if there's holidays, they'll give cards out to the employees and blah, 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 or get well or whatever. There's a lot more than just get well and Christmas. I forgot. I don't know. There's 5 or 6 different kind of cards in there. Get well, Christmas, and happy birthday, and about 3 or 4 other kinds. But like I said, I still have all of that. So I went ahead and took that whole box. And like I said, I had little gold stickers and a bunch of other little stickers. But I can't believe Jerry's such a stupid fuck. He fucking got fired like 3 fucking times. And they fucking kept hiring him back. But in the end, he was going to get fired. But of course, he fucking resigned. I mean, he retired. Diana should have got fired, but she retired. Brandy did get fired. Jerry should have got fired, but he retired. And did I already mention Diana? She would have got fired, but she retired. Brandy did get fired. And, yeah, that John stupid fuck, he was going to get fired too, but he decided to retire. John in Tulsa and Brandy in Tulsa got fired. And Diana in Joplin retired, or she would have got fired. And then Jerry, where I work, would have got fired, but he retired. And then right now we have another employee in Tulsa, and she did something. I don't know what she did, but she did something. She looked up somebody's account or something, blah, 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 blah. And so she's either, she might get fired. It just depends on what she did, but she was taking off all the systems and blah, 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 blah. So she's pending whether or not she's going to get fired or not. But, like, all these motherfuckers, man. And, it's like they're all, what's that word? What's that called? Oh, it's like they're all narcissistic motherfuckers. And, I really don't like ordering stuff from, some things, it's not like we're living in 1800s. Some things you got to order on the internet, but I really don't like ordering shit from the internet, if I could help it, because so much of my shit has gotten stolen by these motherfuckers. FedEx and UPS, the post office, the post office, when you order stuff, normally it's never delivered by the post office. It's normally delivered by UPS or FedEx, but I never got anything really stolen by the USPS, but FedEx and UPS and some of the vendors on Walmart are shady. Like this fucking bike I ordered was $100. SEAICH. It was $100. But now they have them listed for $600 and some dollars. But they've been around for a long time, over 100 years supposedly. But the vendor said that they, on my side, on the UPS side, on the Walmart, the UPS side, it said that the label was created, but the bike was never sent off to UPS. And then, so I contacted the vendor, and the vendor said, oh, it was shipped, but that, since it made no fucking sense. And they're out of Ogden or something like that, Utah or something. Salt Lake City, Utah, I think. But it made no sense. So I don't know if the UPS people stole the bike or what. But the vendor said, oh, since there's no tracking information, which it made no sense because there is tracking information, but it just said that the label was created, but the vendor didn't hand off the shit to UPS yet. But I contacted the vendor, and the vendor said it was definitely shipped, but that because there wasn't any, I guess what they meant was not tracking information, but no information to say that it's going forward, to the next fucking place. And she's like, well, so we'll just have to mail you another bike. So finally, they mailed me another fucking bike, and it better be a fucking 29-inch. I know it's probably going to be too big for me, but I thought it would be kind of cool because I've never had a big bike like that. I've only ever rode 26 inches, and it better be 29 inch, or I'm probably going to send it back. So now finally there's tracking information on there, and it's fucking stuck in a Colorado. It finally moved on to because they told me that they mailed me another bike, and so she said because it didn't move forward is that it got lost. Well, how's a big fucking bike, a 35-pound bike, and a big fucking 4-foot long, 4-foot wide box gonna get fucking lost? It fucking got stolen, or the vendor's a lying motherfucker. And also, that happened with my cashews. Somebody did steal my cashews, because my cashews was coming from, Africa to Georgia to Illinois to Chicago and then to me. And the fucking cashews were stuck in Chicago and they never did move forward. So they fucking got stolen in Chicago. So they had to send me another 5-pound bag of cashews. But anyway, so now my fucking bike was supposed to be delivered today, and I looked on there and it says that it's because of weather conditions, it's stuck in Commerce City, Colorado. And I looked up and I didn't see no bad fucking weather in Commerce City, Colorado. It says it's like 50 fucking degrees. There's no blizzards or anything. There was 3 years ago around this time, March 17th. Or now it's March 19th, but 2 days ago, that's when they received my bike, and they said because of weather conditions, but there's not any bad weather conditions, so I don't know what they're tripping about. So anyway, so my bike is stuck there for now, but there's just all these shady motherfuckers. I mean, you just can't trust anybody. Yeah, I definitely wouldn't order anything too fucking expensive. If you are going to order something, or don't order anything that's like 1,000 or something like that. But anyway, so, what was I going to say? But yeah, I mean, all these employees are just shady motherfuckers, And I mean, like, who wouldn't want a government fucking job? The bosses can't even find any motherfucker. They can't find anybody. They want Joplin to have 3 employees. They want Fayetteville to have 3 employees. They can't even find one motherfucker that's decent and reliable. I mean, it's just so weird. I mean, like, I don't know. And now it just seems like it's almost impossible to get jobs at the place I work for, because a long time ago it was called the COL, and it was just basically for internal people, and every job I applied for I got, and now they don't have that anymore. They went to USA.jobs, and there's all these priority, which I know there was some priority stuff back then too, but now it's just insane with all these priority people and shit. And so you can't find any fucking, I mean, you can't get any fucking jobs now, it just seems like, because they moved everything to USA jobs. And so, most anything you apply for, it's going to not these outsiders, but more internal people and blah, 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 blah. But anyway, I've applied for a lot of jobs and I claimed 5-point preference. Anyway, so that will help me too, which I've never claimed that before. But I got all of my, I'm really not considered a veteran, but I got all my fucking paperwork, so bitch, consider me a veteran then, I got the proof, but I'm really not considered a veteran. But I'm still claiming 5-point preference. But anyway, so, but yeah, just, man, human race is just fucked up, But, one, too, I mean, I know they can't find any employees for all these other jobs, too, restaurants and blah, blah, blah. Well, they're all probably dead already from COVID and the COVID jab. I mean, it's going to take some time, but eventually you're going to see a dent, in the population. Well, like now, like I said, all these jobs are, I mean, I assume they're still hurting for employees. I'm pretty sure they are. Most all, these companies and stuff, government or non-government, they're hurting for employees, can't get anybody. Yeah, it's probably because they've already been murdered by the vaccine and shit and COVID. But anyway, so, but yeah, this USA Jobs or whatever. Yeah, well, you know, I mean, it's all internal people that have all their proof, the CTAP or whatever the fuck, and they're getting all these jobs ahead of like you know what I'm saying? But anyway, so well, but not anymore because like I say, I applied for like 43 different jobs, a lot of them 5-point preference and blah 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 blah. So I should be getting something pretty soon, and they're all like work at home. But yeah, so okay, yeah, so okay, so the other part of the scenario after so I was telling you about, that's where Joe got the idea for me to, you know, I was gonna go ahead and swipe his t-shirts and stuff because he didn't want him and his almost brand new pair of shoes. I was gonna take all that because he said he's up and retiring. So then I go off, okay, it's kind of funny. I go off into my area my ex area that I was back here. I was starting a new job back in the back. I was waiting for training. I was starting a new job. And so after all of that, I moseyed all up into my ex area where I used to work, and I started hanging out with my employees and stuff that I used to work with, and it started to observe them and everything. And it was a Saturday. I mean, I can't remember what day this was supposed to be when I was back here, but for whatever reason, and it was daytime. It was, well, back here. I can't remember when it was or what it really was. I mean, I think it was morning when I was back here. And then it was more like, I don't know, like 11 in the morning when I went back into my normal work area. But at this point, I was kind of like just observing because I was an ex-employee because I started another job. And I started sitting down at this table. And it was a Saturday. And some of the workers were still working and everything. And I was just kind of like, wow, like I can't believe I'm here. Like I'd rather be here, you know, for 8 or 9 hours than be bored and be at home and stuff. And which is so stupid because I'd rather do the opposite, you know what I mean? But in the scenario, it was just so funny because I was just like having a blast, you know, being here, you know, on a Saturday. And Joe must have got that from because we were open on a Saturday about a week or two ago. But yeah, I was just moseying around and it was Saturday. It was sunny outside. And I just remember thinking, wow, I'd rather be here any day than being bored and doing nothing at home. So it was so funny because in real life, I'd rather, you know, do the opposite, be at home and not at work on a Saturday. But that was funny. And I know there was some, something with, I knew that I was, you know, going to be there, you know, 8 or 9 hours, you know, and that's how long they did, or that's how long they were open for when they were open for, you know, on that Saturday. They got there at 8 and they were going to work till 4. So actually 8 hours. But anyway, yeah, so it was just so weird. It was just felt so real. It was so everything. I mean, all these experiences, they're so like virtual reality. But anyways, it was kind of a fun experience. But, like I never heard of this stupid ass brand. Well, they maybe didn't used to sell bicycles. But if you look on Amazon, nobody's buying their bikes. And if you look on the website, they're $100 on the website. And they finally went up to $130, but it keeps saying coming soon, coming soon. So I guess they don't have all their inventory in yet. But at the Walmart website, this is where I got it, at the Walmart website. And one other person did buy the bike. There's only one review, and they just kind of said, they gave it bad reviews because they said they went and rode it, and one of the tires popped, and that they didn't go over anything. They didn't ride over anything. But anyway, we'll see. But, okay, the experience I had this morning was kind of similar to the work one. Or you'll just be a vegetarian and eat grains. I can't believe they fucking lump grains with vegan. That is so fucking ignorant. Shows you how stupid people are. Grains is not a vegetable. Okay, so this morning, well, I think I forgot a lot of the, I don't know if it's another scenario, but, I think I forgot the beginning part of it or whatever, but, or maybe this was the start of it. I can't remember. But anyway, so bam, I walk into well, the scenario, Joe, wasn't real specific. It was like an IHOP restaurant, and I just started sitting down, waiting to meet the trainers to come. I started sitting down at a table all by myself, and then thought I heard some growling. Okay, that's a car. Okay, I started, here's the, but it almost kind of seemed like there was a conference room over here. It almost kind of seemed like it was kind of 50-50. Like all this part was restaurant, and over here was kind of like part of the job area where you would be like training or whatever, because there was like some conference rooms over here. But all this part right here was like a restaurant, like an IHOP or something, and there were all these tables and people were eating at the tables. And I was over here by myself because I was waiting on the trainers. I was waiting to meet up with the trainers, and I was sitting facing that direction. And then one point in the scenario, I looked over in the conference room, and on the table was Goldie. And Goldie, instead of in that hoodie that I put on her, in the scenario, Goldie was in this like this blouse or something, this really cool little blouse. And she was loving it. She was all perky and loving it. And I looked over at her, and she looked so happy. And I was like, how can you like that? You didn't like the hoodie I put on you. But she loved it. And I didn't put it on her. It was the coworkers. It's like she was the mascot, and everybody loved her. Everybody loved little Goldie. And I noticed how they were just like all lovey-dovey towards her, and they just loved her like a little mascot. And I thought, okay, I'm not going to leave her here, at work anymore, because I don't want her to, because she was my cat. I didn't want her to fall in love with all these other, employees, these male employees or managers, whatever they were. Like I say, this was the restaurant part, and then this was like the job part over here. And it was kind of both, like a restaurant hooked on to, to the place of employment. And like I said, this was a conference room, and little Goldie, these couple male, I think they were managers or trainers or something. They seemed like they were managers or something, and they were just like what's that word? But anyway, they were just all hunky-dory or whatever over little Goldie, and she was sitting on top of the table. And I was just like, wow, I'm going to have to, I left her there for like days at a time, so she could just have a different environment or whatever to be in. But I thought to myself, I'm not leaving her here anymore, because she's getting a little too comfortable, and I knew that I was going to take her home and not, bring her back. And also, there was another cat that I left here too, and I can't remember which one it was. But that was kind of funny. Joe could have got that from one time I did take Truman during that one time before COVID, when we were shut down for like 3 weeks. I did take Truman to work and let him run around. So I don't know if that's where Joe got the idea, but it was kind of funny. She had this cool little like blousey thing on, like a blouse, almost looked like a human type of blouse, and she loved it. And but I just knew I wasn't gonna leave her there anymore, because all the people were falling in love with her, and she was just getting too comfortable. So okay, there's this other weird part of the scenario where these I thought they were guys. I don't know what they were. They were like half alien, half humans or something. These 3 young guys started walking this direction, And I looked at them and I noticed it looked like they were naked. And I couldn't really tell if they were completely naked or if they had some kind of bodysuit on that looked like they were naked. And then after I looked at them, I'm like they didn't have any dongs or anything, no genitals or anything. And I thought that was a little weird because they kind of look like dudes. And but that was kind of weird. Like, I don't know why all of a sudden Joel was putting aliens in my scenario, you know, because he never used to do that. But yeah, like I looked at him because they looked totally naked, or they had some kind of weird bodysuit that looked like they were naked. And I looked down at their crotch and there was like nothing there, like nothing. So that was kind of weird. But yeah, and I don't know who they were. I don't know if they were supposed to be soon to be employees or what the hell. But anyway, it was just kind of weird. But none of these experiences were really, really, really good. But still, they were still kind of fun. Say, well, thanks for listening. Dora.